Away we go here on a Thursday Daily Ticket edition. Sean Bray, Sam Oshtry from The Score riding with us today. Full disclosure, dealing with a little bit of a child, well, not a little bit, a child under the weather. So we are recording via the stream. Technology working in mysterious or wonderful ways, not mysterious ways. Come on, Brace. Sam, good afternoon, man. How you doing today?
I'm good, Brace. I'm good. Sorry to hear about your daughter. Love when we're in studio together, but we'll be back next week. Big week of shows next week. And we're counting down the days till the bowl. Counting down the days.
That's right, man. Right around the corner, January 30th at this point in time, February 9th. You do the math there, people. But bottom line is we are inching closer. And of course, I would like to start there. But unfortunately, last night, man, crazy scene out there in D.C. with the plane going down. And I only start there, well, number one, because it's a terrible tragedy. And obviously, that's number one for all of us. But it involves the sports world. And it's crazy to read our hearts and thoughts go out to everybody involved, families, the tragedy. I was just talking about the Eagles fan that fell off of the pole yesterday on the show, where it's like, dude, it's so much bigger. Like, the families will be grieving for the rest of their lives. And that's the same deal here. Over 60 plus people gone. I think there were 64 total people on that plane. And the big thing is that there were figure skaters, American and Russian figure skaters. And we're talking about young up-and-coming Olympic athletes that were representing this country. So sad, 15 years old. I see 16 years old here. Still a lot of names to be released. Hell, a lot of people still to be found, which is really sad to say. But, man, just a terrible tragedy. And also, Sam had no idea about this, and I don't know if you are up on the history of figure skating in this country, and I say that all love and respect, not to have fun here, but it said this is from The Score, matter of fact. It's not the first air tragedy in the U.S. figure skating community. The 18-member U.S. team that was set to compete in the World Championships at Prague died when Flight 548 crashed on February 15th, 1961. 45 minutes outside of Brussels. Also killed were 6 U.S. coaches and 4 skating officials with some family members. Like, it is just really, 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 like, sad. Of course, is at the top of the list, but to see that happen again to that community, that team. Of course, we're talking about the best of the best representing this country. It's devastating, bro. Devastating.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. It's just tragic. Obviously, thoughts and prayers, hearts go out to every victim and families affected. It's tragic, like you said, just a tragedy that you hate to see when it affects the sports world. I didn't know that about that previous accident with the figure skating. It's like hard to even fathom. So yeah, obviously a tragedy. I would just say, like, let's not politicize something like this when it happens. Like, let's let the families grieve. We don't even know the families don't even know necessarily, and we don't even know the victims' names. We don't know who they are. Like, let's hear their stories first before we politicize something like this. But that's not the way we work in this day and age.
It's Wild Wild West now.
Yeah, which is sad, but yeah, like you said, just hearts and thoughts and prayers go out to the victims.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, I wanted to get that there and couldn't sleep last night. I was able to watch it all the way up until like literally 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And just was, it's things we take for granted when you hop on a flight. They say it is statistically safer than driving in a car, which is crazy. I hate flying. I got to do it in the middle of February. And like, when I'm up in the air, I literally am like my worst enemy. All I think about is what's underneath us. We're in a metal tube. Just like, get me on the ground, get me on the ground, get me on the ground. And like, yeah. And it's definitely a struggle for me just to fly. And, but it is safe, and that was a terrible situation.
It's hard to even fathom that could happen in this day and age. We don't know the exact details of what went wrong, but it's hard to even fathom that collision could happen with all just the technology, the safety precautions. Like, you don't see that ever. And
a guy on CNN last night was pretty good at what he did. He was a former pilot, probably is still a pilot, but aviation expert, all that. And he literally had the models, right? Like the helicopter and the plane. And I don't know if they had those things laying around at CNN or he travels with them. Who knows? But he was really detailed, really good. And you know what's crazy, dude, is like all this stuff is out there, right? Like, snap of the fingers, people were pulling off the communications from the tower to the plane. Yeah. Like, all this stuff is like people are, they love flying. They love that world. So there are people listening to this stuff constantly. My uncle was a fire chief in Scranton for 30 plus years. He still has the scanner going daily. Like these people are hooked on it. They can't get rid of it anyways. So they're putting that. So you literally heard, I don't mean to be speaking out of line, but you literally heard communication between the helicopter and the tower talking about the plane. So like they knew it was there, but he was saying like, man, the plane was coming down and it's on that constant. You're keeping your eye, and like just terrible, terrible luck. And that's a bad way of saying it, but you know what I mean? Wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
So
Sucks.
again, we don't know the details. We will find out more, but I'm with you on that one. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's get on over to some happier things, if we could. About as tough of a transition as you can. But let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and the Super Bowl. And yes, the big news of the day is Brandon Graham could possibly be back out there for the Eagles on Super Bowl Sunday. Now, I will just read you this tweet. Mike Mulhern, who is a producer at NBC Sports Philadelphia, who said, just throwing this out there on December 5th, so credit to him. Just throwing this out there for no reason. Ray Lewis played 12 weeks after tearing his tricep in 2012, his final season, while in pursuit of his second Super Bowl. Super Bowl Sunday would be 11 weeks from the injury for Brandon Graham. So that's what he's up against. Nobody's saying it's going to happen, but there was some significant movement as far as Brandon Graham officially announced to the roster. He is the 21-day practice window to return from injury reserved that was open to him. So I just want to ask you your thoughts about BG possibly being back out there for the Eagles. For me, it's all hands on deck. If he can't play, they'll know. If he can play, they'll know. And BG's a damn workhorse. He's a leader on that team. So I give it 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, he'll do everything in his power. Like if we know anything about BG, he will do everything in his power to play. And so we'll see what happens. But Mark Henry pointed out in our chat that Josh Sweat in the pass rush game, he hasn't been as great in this playoff stretch, and also in the last few games of the regular season. So even putting BG out there for a few snaps, like he's not going to play a huge workload, I'm sure, but even putting him out there for a few snaps can be impactful when you have that rotation and you're trying to get to Patrick Mahomes within the pass rush. It could be impactful if he's a guy that can go out there and give you even just a few snaps. But that's from the football perspective. The emotional perspective is a whole nother thing, because look, Nick Sirianni, we know the last Super Bowl, that Saturday night before the game, he let guys go up there and speak. The captains, the leaders of the team. We all saw the Kelsey clip of how emotional that room got when the captains of the team went up and spoke before the big game. BG, if Nick decides to do that again, which I imagine he would, BG will be one of those guys speaking. Who knows what he says? Maybe he says, I'm playing. This is my last game. Like, this is it. Like, maybe that's like, this has been the leader on this team. Maybe that gives them some added motivation, some extra run. Like in that Ravens team, Ray Lewis, he retired. He announced his retirement. I forget if it was towards the end of the regular season or before the playoff run. And there was that talk, that whole playoff run, that he was a guy that everyone's going to rally around. This is it for him. Let's do it for Ray Lewis. He's go out with a bang. Maybe there's a similar feel. I mean, it's a Super Bowl. You don't need any more motivation. It's the Super Bowl, but you never know. An emotional leader like that, captain of the team, I think it only will have positive effects.
Yeah, some other, again, I think that's all we can say at this point in time, not putting the cart before the horse. It's still a slim chance that he's able to get out there. I just put the weeks in front of you. But again, we knew that he was working hard to get back to this spot. The Eagles did their part. They locked into a Super Bowl appearance. If BG can play, he'll be out there. Tricep is not something to play with. I think we could all do the math on that one. So we'll see what happens. But it'd be great to have BG out there on the field. No matter what, he will be on the sideline and having his presence felt. So looking forward to that. Also from the Eagles' perspective, the other injuries, again, it's our first injury report, and you can't read anything into this with the week off. They're out there, they're practicing, so I say that week off loosely. You only get a couple. Actually, I was listening to Andy Reid talk about that and Bill Belichick yesterday, and he was pretty adamant about week 1. So this is a pretty important week. So I take that back a little bit, but
because next week is crazy. That
correct.
Next week becomes all the media appearances, you have to be in New Orleans doing all this. So this really is the game plan week. You're installing the game plan. You're practicing. This is a huge week.
Yeah, and it's in the confines of your own home, right? Like
Exactly. Yeah.
at the bubble. So you don't have to mess around. You don't have to bus here and there. You know what you have to do. So it is an important week, very much so. But what I meant to say was, if they don't practice today, that doesn't mean they're not playing 2 weeks from now or a week from now, whatever it is. So next week is when we could get a little concerned, and I bring that specifically up about Kenny Gainwell, concussion protocol, and of course to the offensive line with the two studs with Jurgens out there, and whether or not he's going to be ready to go 100%. But those are the big names on the list at this point in time. What I do know is, like I said, with the concussion protocol, it's a roll of the dice, so we'll see what happens there. But I would imagine that, again, with it being on February 9th, we will see Kenny Gainwell in an Eagles uniform for Super Bowl Sunday. Jurgens and Dickerson, we know what took place in the NFC Championship game. Just really important because, of course, that is the bread and butter, the offensive line. So you would like to believe that everybody could be healthy, ready to go. The truth is, everybody's probably dealing with some sort of injury, some sort of being dinged up throughout the course of where we're at right now in February 9th, starting the season back in July, essentially. Yeah, I'm sure they're feeling all right, but when it comes down to the offensive line, the back is the big one for me. So hopefully with this time, Jurgens is able to get back in there, as he did step in when his number was called. But he's the big one. I don't want to push Gainwell off to the side, but man, am I wrong to think that Shipley could fill in a little bit well for him?
We saw Shipley do some things in that NFC Championship in kind of those garbage time minutes. The game was obviously out of reach, but it's really more that Saquon Barkley, I mean, he's the first, second, and third down back anyway. Yeah. There's not going to be, unless he's really exhausted after a big run or something, he's going to be on the field all the time. He's also a great pass protecting back. Like, he picks up blocks all the time on these linebackers coming in and protects Jalen. So Saquon's going to be on the field all the time. Like, if Kenny's out, it's not great when there's a few snaps that he's going to be in the game, but Will Shipley can probably do the job. I'm not really worried about that. You said it. The big one is with the offensive line. Tyler Steen did a really good job coming in when Cam Jurgens was out. Landon Dickerson went to center. And I really trust anyone on Jeff Stoutland's offensive line to step up at any moment. But you still want to see the offensive line that was the best offensive line in football stay together. You want that group, that unit, to be together for the Super Bowl. And Cam Jurgens came in and played the second half, so it wasn't too much of a serious injury to me. The back's a tough one because it can tighten up at any time. You never really know. Landon Dickerson also, he was limping around, obviously didn't finish that game. Both those guys are units. They're going to be ready to go. If they say stick a needle in me, give me a pill, whatever it is, those guys will be ready to go. Hopefully they're 100%. The week off really helps them when they have this 2-week stretch in between games. I don't have a question those guys are going to play. You hope they're going to be at 100%, and I kind of expect they will be, and you're not going to see any slide in terms of their production.
I love it. The other day I was watching the program. You ever see the program before?
No, what's that?
Oh, it's a great football movie, Sam Oshtry. You got to watch it.
Program? What year did it come out?
From the 90s, probably early 90s. If I had to guess, 94, 95-ish. Might even be off on that one. But Omar Epps is in it. He was great. Great. It's just it's a jock football movie where, shoot me up, get me out there. That sort of deal. I still say one of the greatest lines ever for a sports movie is let the paramedics sort them out. That's one of I love that line when he talks about
from that movie.
Yes, let the paramedics sort them out. I'm gonna bust your gun up and watch you die. Oh, I love it. Great movie. I was watching it the other night. Anyways, North Dallas 40 is another one that comes to my mind when you start talking about shoot me up, get me out there. Now that's a really, really old school movie from the 70s, but pretty funny to think about how it used to be. I'm sure there's still some of that going on right now. Like, let's not be naive to the point that, like, these players really want to get back out there and help their team. They're going to do whatever it takes, but we'll see how that one plays out. Hopefully none of that is needed over the next week and a half, and the team is healthy down in New Orleans. They're going to need all hands on deck to beat the Kansas City Chiefs team. Are you getting a lean, Sam? Are you getting a vibe? Because more and more I start sinking my teeth into this game. I see the Eagles winning Super Bowl 59.
Oh my God. I've had this vibe. I've had a lean all season. The Eagles were winning the Super Bowl as of 2 months ago. It's not changing going up until the game. I love that they're underdogs. Mahomes has been underdog last 2 times, proved everyone wrong. I love that the Eagles are underdogs. I listened to your rant yesterday. I don't even know how you're alive right now. I thought you were actually about to pass out. I thought like I was streaming on my phone watching you, and I thought I was gonna have to call an ambulance for you because you were in the studio by yourself. I thought you were gonna pass out. You were huffing and puffing by the end.
Oh, I was dying. I was
But
dying. I was winded.
that was electric. That was electric. But of course, the Eagles are going to win this game, no doubt. They're better. You've done the position by position breakdown earlier in this week. My opinion, Eagles are better at every single position group except the quarterback. And look, that matters, of course. If Mahomes has the ball and the game's tied, or maybe they're down 3 with 4 or 5 minutes to go, I'm going to be frightened. I'm going to be really scared. But I think the Eagles are good enough where if they have a lead, they can build on the lead, establish the run. Remember, the Chiefs have trailed in the last 2 Super Bowls. So the Chiefs don't get off to these fast starts. In terms of some players and a little bit of a lean on that, I think Jalen Hurts is going to have an incredible game. Like, put up all the numbers. And he's been great all season, and he's been disrespected all season. But I think he's going to put up some incredible numbers because the passing, our running game is obviously what got us here. Saquon Barkley, even Hurts as a runner behind the best offensive line in football. That's what got us to this point. And we're not going to abandon that. Don't get me wrong. But Hurts is going to have to make plays through the air for them to compete with Mahomes and win this game. And I think it's going to be a pretty high-scoring game. And I think Hurts is going to do that. You look at the 2 biggest games of his career, the 2 biggest games of his entire career, that Super Bowl game in 2022 and the NFC Championship last week, I would say, was the second biggest game of his professional career. In those 2 games, he's totaled 550 passing yards, 86 rushing yards, 8 total touchdowns, 0 interceptions, over 70% completion percentage, and an average passer rating that's greater than 105. He's phenomenal in big moments. That's what he does. He's a clutch performer. He's a winner, and he shows up in these big moments. There's no question this is going to be a Jalen Hurts coming out party where nobody can disrespect him anymore. People are still disrespecting him when all he does is win. I think his record is 42-11 his last 3 years in games that he started and finished. That is remarkable. There's no one's going to be able to question what he does after this week, after the Super Bowl against Mahomes, head to head, kind of how Nick Foles and Tom Brady went head to head in that 2017 year in that Super Bowl. And they were both phenomenal. Nick Foles ended up besting Tom Brady, you could say. It's happening. Jalen Hurts is doing the same over the dynasty that the Chiefs have built. And Jalen Hurts is going to be the guy. He's going to win Super Bowl MVP of this Super Bowl.
Well, we'll get into some of those props because I want to go ahead and get I don't think I read your favorite prop. I did go over a few from the Gambler Gang yesterday, but we'll go ahead and dive into that as far as MVP market as well. I do want to bring this up, though. Sam Oshtry, I was wrong. Oh, my God. I can't believe I'm wrong on this one.
About what?
I said the total was not coming down. I said there was no way that number was coming down. It was only going to go up. And by kickoff, I said I could see it going as high as 51. 51 is that total key number that they talk about, but I don't really get caught up in that. I just go off of what the numbers were. And, of course, Super Bowl, everybody coming in. Now, I realized that the average Joe money hasn't come in just yet. Is that necessarily all sharp money coming in? So now it's down a point. It was as high as 48.5 or 49.5. I believe opened at 49. We're now at 48.5. So we came under. I believe that's correct. We are now under what it opened at, which is really intriguing. And I wonder why that would be, other than the fact that money coming in, of course, that's the golden rule. Money moves numbers. But, man, that is interesting. I do know this, like I said, as we get closer and closer, including that next weekend, all the way up at the kickoff, that number will go up. So bottom line is this. If you like the over, and I did, I'm on 49.5. If I lose that bet, I'm going to be pissed. But if I lose it on 49, I'm going to be pissed. If you like the over, take it now. 48.5. I'll put my damn reputation at stake. It's not going any lower than this. 48.5 is as low as it's going to get. So if you like the under, or if you like the over, take it now. If you like the under, well, don't touch that. No. It's going to go up. Every Super Bowl does. Trust me when I tell you that. But I'm intrigued, man. So it means money coming on the under. Did you have a vibe on the under or over? Because I felt like we're going to see fireworks.
Yeah, that's interesting because I think it's going to be fireworks too. Like I said, I think it's going to be another Hurts Mahomes shootout. which is going to call for an over. And so I like the over too. But it's interesting because the numbers that I have from one of the books that I'm in cahoots with, I guess not cahoots with, but you know what I mean. One of the books that I communicate with, they 90% of the bets and 85% of the handle. This was as of Tuesday night. We're on the over, and that was at 49.5. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting that it's lowered because a lot of that was coming on the over. And then interestingly enough, too, 55% of the bets and 61% of the handle were on the Eagles spread, which again, like you said, I think a big part of that is because the average Joes aren't going to be betting until late next week when that Super Bowl is really approaching. And the average Joes are not going to be betting against Mahomes again. Those guys are going to be all over the Chiefs and all over Mahomes, especially as a slight favorite. So I think you're going to see that kind of shift where by the end, more money will be and bets will be on the Chiefs. But it's interesting that early money is coming in on the Eagles.
Yeah. Something to keep our eyes on there. Again, we've been watching it. Nobody's been watching it closer than us here on The Gambler. Next week, we got some specialty shows coming your way. Finish the Story, 6 to 8 p.m., Monday through Friday. I'm going to be going live at night, Eagles at night, talking all things birds and catching you up to date on what you might have missed at 9 o'clock at night, Monday through Friday. We're going to be out and about, Sam, I believe. Knock on wood. It's already happening. The dotted line should be signed on today that we will be, I'll put it out there for the people, but I believe on Friday we're going to be at Yards. So that's going to be awesome.
Let's go.
And then Thursday, there's a possibility that we're going to be downtown as well. Tuesday, some ideas being pitched right now to a business. We need to get them on, but Friday's looking like we're locked in. Be doing some stuff as far as Sunday is concerned, pregame. Everybody's going to be involved. So nobody's going to be tackling a Super Bowl 59 like us here on The Gambler.
I'll be there for all of it. I'll be there for all of it. Next week's a huge week.
This is it, baby. This is why we lift all them weights, man, in the offseason.
Exactly.
Right here.
We're in the gym in the offseason.
That's it. That's it. All right, let's just quickly hit on this because I definitely want to get into some other things with you, specifically on the hardwood. And we got a hot 76ers team, so let's not bury the lead there. Anyways, the Super Bowl MVP market. Mahomes is now up from plus 110 yesterday up to plus 120. Saquon Barkley plus 260. I think that came down a smidge. Jalen Hurts plus 350. Kelsey 15-1. Worthy 28-1. AJ Brown back up to 35-1. AJ Brown opened at 35-1, dropped down to 28-1. Now back up to 35-1. Kareem Hunt at 60-1. We'll stop there. So you like Hurts plus 350. That's a great bet right there, Sam. Great bet.
I love it. It's a ton of value. And real quick, obviously, if you're a Chiefs backer, which none of us will be, no one in the city will or should be, you obviously take Mahomes on as the MVP instead of taking Chiefs money line because I don't see any scenario where the Chiefs win and Mahomes isn't the MVP. But in terms of the Eagles and just my overall MVP pick, plus 350 is a ton of value for Hurts because, like I said, he's the quarterback. Like people disrespect him, and people don't really understand that Saquon Barkley, phenomenal player, so explosive, breakout speed, his lateral movements. We get all of that. His running game is opened up because Hurts is a threat as a runner too. Like Hurts is so phenomenal. He doesn't turn the ball over. If he has like a 250 plus passing yard, his prop, I believe, is at 199.5 right now on some books. But if he has like a 250 yard plus passing day, has 50 rushing yards or so, maybe 3 total touchdowns, I don't see how you don't reward the MVP to him. The only problem is if Saquon has like a 130 yard game and like a couple touchdowns, voters even more than that.
I think you'd have to go higher than that.
But the thing is, I think Saquon already has the advantage, which is why he's favored, because voters have disrespected Hurts all year and want to reward Saquon. I mean, the narrative out there all year has been that Saquon's the MVP of this team, which doesn't make any sense for even as good as he's been. It doesn't make sense to have the MVP as a running back over the quarterback when it's the most important position on the field, which is why a running back can't and won't ever win MVP. But that's been the narrative all year, that he's the most important player on the Eagles. So I think if Saquon has like even a pedestrian type game, voters might be inclined to give it to Saquon, which means I think Hurts really has to ball out. But I think he will. I think Hurts is going to have the best game of his season, maybe the best game since last Super Bowl.
Let me stop you. NFC Championship game. Just riddle me. If that was the game that plays out in front of us on Sunday, February 9th, who gets the MVP?
My vote is going to Hurts.
Yeah, same. I don't think that's up for debate. I think look, they had 3 touchdowns each, understood, but Jalen balled his ass off in
I
that game.
agree. But
Yeah,
I don't, I'm not convinced. I think you and me, because we've been guys who think Hurts has been disrespected. I'm not convinced that MVP would have gone to Hurts over Saquon, because the national
interesting.
guys are voting on it. It's national media who votes on this.
It is a very intriguing market. We have to remember how it takes place in the fourth quarter. Most of the time, these games aren't even finished, and they have to get their votes in.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a whole lot of thought going into these votes, to be honest with you. We've seen plenty of other um, positions other than quarterback win. I think the last one was not
Cooper Cup.
Welker. Oh, it
Cooper
was
Cup.
Cooper Cup. Correct. Correct. It was Cooper Cup, and Edelman won in the Rams game for the Patriots as well.
Yeah,
But Mahomes has won the last 2 straight. It's Mahomes, and that's it for Kansas City. And then I just, you know what, man? You're right. The odds tell you what you need to know, that Saquon is definitely the guy that they want to believe deserves it and should get it. But I refuse to believe that anything is going to change from the standpoint of the tush push down on the goal line. So therefore, touchdowns will go to Jalen, and I do think that they're going to be aggressive. I think they come out and throw the rock and try and put some points up early, try and just do some different things, because you got to get a lead on this team. You have to get a
yeah.
lead. And even if you do have a lead, as you pointed out, last 2 Super Bowls, they were down. They still find a way to come back and win. But I think they do something different. I think they air it out. And good luck stopping Jalen if he's on point with AJ and Devontae and Dallas and Saquon coming out of the backfield.
I'm with you, and I think you need Saquon. You have to establish the run in this game, and if you have a big lead, it's nice that you have such a great running game. You can really rely on that running game, kill clock, and pick up first downs, take long drives away from the Chiefs, get the ball out of Mahomes' hands. But I do think, even though they're going to rely on that running game early, they're going to be aggressive with the pass game. Like, they trust Hurts in the biggest spots because he's proven them right, and then proven that he can be trusted in the biggest moments throughout his career, time and time again. And again, he doesn't turn the ball over. Like, you have to win the turnover margin in this game, which we've talked about. If we turn the ball over once, I won't even once, I won't feel good about our chances, because I think it's going to be a 0-0 turnover battle game. But Hurts doesn't turn the ball over, so that's even more reason to trust him and let him take chances. So I'm all in on Hurts having a huge game.
All right. Great stuff, Sam Oshtry. Let me, quick one on this one. I went around the Gambler Gang. Did you or did you not give me one yesterday?
I don't think I was.
No, you did not.
Yeah.
All right. So do you have one prop that has jumped off the page at you? Early look on January 30th from DraftKings or your favorite sports book, whatever one you have in front of you that you're using. Is there a prop that you looked at that you caught your attention? You're saying, you know what? Because we went down the list yesterday. I'm going to get that up on YouTube a little later today. I think there were 6 Gambler Gang favorite props early for Super Bowl 59. My favorite one that I have stumbled onto, and again, I didn't really go too crazy. I don't want to go crazy. I'm going to be involved in the game. I'm going to be involved in the MVP. I'm going to be involved in some same game parlay action. I'm not trying to have 40 single props out there as well. But my favorite prop is plus 1,500 DraftKings Sportsbook, 1 rushing touchdown in each quarter.
I like
Both teams involved. I think, like I said, from Jalen and Saquon, the Eagles, hell, dude, if the Eagles hit their stride and play a game like they did, and they give you that type of, I'm not saying they're throwing up 55, but this is a team that averages 27 plus per game throughout the course of the season. And we know what they're capable of in a domed atmosphere. If they're hitting their stride, this is a team that can go out there and throw up 35. Buffalo scored 29 in Arrowhead. I'll give the Eagles a proper chance at scoring 30 plus points down there in the Superdome. So if that's the case, I know that they're going to throw the ball, but at the end of the day, you get some lucky breaks. You end up with the ball at the 1 to 2 yard line. They run it in 1,500. Thought that was a decent payday. Oh, and by the way, the Eagles aren't the only one that have to do it. I get the Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes getting out of the backfield with his legs. You know that's going to happen. Kareem Hunt, Worthy, Pacheco on the goal line. So I think that there's a good shot at the Chiefs getting 1 or 2 rushing touchdowns. Eagles as well. 1,500. Lock it in.
I love it. Mine's not as juicy as yours, and I wrote down like 10 that I'm exploring. I didn't place them yet. I wrote them down. I'm gonna be writing
Give
about
me your
them
favorite one
next week. So it's hard to narrow down my favorite
Pick
one.
between your children, your favorite child.
I don't have any, so none. I I'm in between a couple, but here, I'll give you one. It's not as juicy. Philadelphia Eagles offensive drive, exact outcome. First offensive drive, exact
Ooh,
outcome,
ooh.
rushing touchdown for the Eagles.
We
Plus
drive
500.
right down the we drive right down the
Plus
field
500.
and
Look what
score a rushing touchdown on the first drive.
earlier in the season, earlier in the season, a big thing was we couldn't score in the first quarter. That's completely changed this playoffs. Yes, yes, there you go. That's completely changed this.
Hallelujah.
That's completely changed this postseason. We've scored on the first opening drive every single playoff game, I believe. And the Packers game was a little fluky because we got the fumble and then we scored. Rams, we go right down the field and score, and then obviously Saquon explodes in that very first touch that he gets against the Commanders. So we've scored on every single opening drive this playoffs. I think that trend continues. Like I said, the Chiefs are a second half Super Bowl team. Go back and look at their Super Bowls. They aren't great in the second half, first, second quarter, especially defensively. I think we're going to put a long drive together the first time we touch the ball. I don't care if it's first or second. And when we get in that red area, we're running the ball. Either it's Jalen or it's Saquon. We're running the ball. So yeah, you can get the punt, which is obviously the favorite. You can get a field goal, which is I believe has the second best odds. But I'm going rushing touchdown because that first drive, Eagles exact outcome plus 500 rushing touchdown.
Excellent. All right, we'll see. And man, like more and more, like I said, we keep talking ourselves into this game, and like smart heads, really cool customers who understand how the Chiefs play football, and I get it. Like, we got to sit there and say that this is going to be a final quarter, final possession type of game. But as we get closer to bravado kicking in a little bit for all of us at the same time, I respect everybody's opinion. It could be just, hey, man, this is how it's going to play out. Great. I think for my case, it might be a little bit more of the bravado. Also mixed in the fact that the AFC might be slightly overrated. We were always putting them on such a high pedestal. So here we are after watching that. A lot of things have transpired to find out who's real and who's not. Look at the NFC North, right? Like everybody was all hell-bent on how great that division was. Yeah, they all won a bunch of regular season games, but they didn't win a damn playoff game.
No.
Not one did. So,
Nope.
like, how good were they, right? But I more and more, I just feel like if the Eagles play their game, and that's the cliche, I think they roll, man. And I think Kansas City's going to have a hard time moving the football. I know the Bucs owned them in that Super Bowl, and I know the Chiefs were dealing with some offensive line injuries, and that's where it started. And I want to give the Bucs the benefit of the doubt and even say that they were a slightly better defense than what the Eagles have right now. But I think I can make the case that the secondary for the Eagles is the best secondary out of the last 3 Super Bowls that they've gone up against.
I think so.
I really do believe that. From the Eagles in 57, 49ers in 58, this year in 59, and even with the Bucs secondary as well. I'll throw them in there. Linebackers were great. Defensive line was incredible. It was stout in that Bucs Super Bowl. But our secondary, man, Quinyon, Cooper, Slay, Blankenship. Oh, by the way, with the mixture of Bond and the way he's attacking, that's going to be a huge deal with the tight end. Like, I'm starting to feel really confident because of that unit.
Yeah, I'm with you. The only argument you could say against that is that they're young, but they don't play young. Like DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, like they do not play like a young secondary, and they have the veteran presence, of course, of Blankenship, Slay, all the guys. I'm with you that it's the best secondary that Mahomes has faced in a Super Bowl. I would say comparing it to the Bucs Super Bowl, Mahomes is a different cat right now. Like he's a different cat than he was 5 years ago. Like he's just on a whole nother level in these big games, clutch moments. It's just there's never been anything like him since Brady, and I think he's really on a different level than even Brady. So there's never been anything like him. So when you say the Eagles roll, I hope, like, I don't feel confident we're gonna roll, but
and roll. Let me paraphrase by saying roll for me is a 6-point victory.
Okay.
A touchdown victory. Look, they're an underdog. They're a 1.5 underdog. People are saying this is a final 3-point game, whatever it is. Fine. I think the Eagles are up by a touchdown at the end, and
look,
they hold on.
They better be, because I think everyone
9. We didn't even be up by 9. That's what we
every person in this city. 9 would be awesome. But every person in this city's palms are going to be sweaty.
I'm already sweating,
clenching. Everyone is. If we are down, or if we are up only 3 or anything less than even 6 with 5 minutes left and Mahomes gets the ball, because that is just nightmarish. I'm thinking about it right now, just imagining like how depressing that was when Mahomes just goes down, call the holding flag on James Bradbury. But it's a new year, it's a new team, it's a new defense. But we have to be up by 7 to 10 points with under 6 minutes to go.
It's hard to imagine that will be the case, but I'm not putting I'm not putting anything above this team, man. You know, I'm not putting a box on what the Eagles can do, because you just don't throw 55 up and call that fluky. Commanders are weak on defense, no ifs, ands, buts about it, but you just don't throw 55 on a whim. There's a damn good team that looks like they're hitting their stride at the right time, and we've seen crazier things happen. It's one game. It's one game. Mahomes has been incredible, and he is. And you know what's crazy? Rewatching that 57 the other day in studio, like, you can look out there and see who's lost a step. You know who hasn't? Mahomes.
No.
He hasn't.
But the guy he's throwing to, his number one target, has.
Absolutely. Travis Kelce was lightning in 57.
Yep.
Now, I'm going to be really cautious when I say that, because who knows what will be clipped. But, yeah, bottom line is, man, I'm bringing the game. And speaking of that, that was my rant yesterday. It was just like, dude, the bulletin board material is there to no end for the Eagles. Like, it's a foregone conclusion the Chiefs are winning this Super Bowl. Yeah. Like, everybody has to win a three-peat, right? That's all the storyline is, three-peat. They're going to win it. It's Mahomes. It's Reed. Are you really going to take Sirianni and Hurts versus Reed and Mahomes? I get it, but that's not how it plays, man. We're talking about two good damn teams right now.
And the Sirianni Hurts thing it's a team sport. It's a team sport, and the Eagles are the better football team. And I get it. A lot of times it really has just come down to the fact that Mahomes is better than the opposing quarterbacks that he faces. But the Eagles are the better team. I said it at the open. The Eagles are the better team top to bottom. The only thing they have an advantage on is Mahomes and at quarterback, who's obviously better than Hurts. And that's not to discredit Hurts. That's just to prop up Mahomes. And of course, at coaching too. But look, like, Andy Reid's a great coach. Andy Reid's a phenomenal coach, one of the best ever. Was he considered one of the best ever before he got the greatest quarterback maybe of all time? Like, a lot of people were like, he can't win the big game.
No.
In this city, couldn't win the big game. Horrible clock management late, which is partly what people have said about Nick Sirianni this season and going back to last year about his clock management, timeout decisions. But then Andy Reid, who I love, not disparaging, Andy Reid gets maybe the greatest quarterback of all time, and he's suddenly the best coach ever. So it's just funny how this switches, that it's such a huge coaching advantage towards Andy Reid. And obviously Spags is a phenomenal defensive coordinator. But Fangio is too. He's going to have a hell of a game plan, as good as you can get against Mahomes. So it's not that big of a mismatch in terms of the coaching.
Yeah, Mahomes is going to get out of the backfield. He's going to continue to run, extend plays, try and get his wide receivers open. You could just hope that the defenders for the Eagles cement themselves to the backside of all those receivers on the crossing route. Great communication. And Jalen Carter wreaks some havoc. Maybe you get some production from Nolan Smith on the outside, because the Eagles weren't able to get after him in 57. It was a huge deal. Mahomes has given up 5 sacks, has been sacked 5 times now in the last 2 playoff games, 3 in the Texans, 2 last week against the Buffalo Bills. So I'm not going to say he's susceptible to the sack. But what I will say is that it does feel like you can a little bit get to him now more than ever. That's all I'll say. So we'll see how that one plays out. Again, we'll be all over for you here on The Gambler. All right, Sam, we got you for another 6-7 minutes here. So let's go around the horn. Little rapid fire topics. First of all, Sixers 4 in a row over to the hardwood here. Tyrese Maxey, all-star or no, as we find out at 6 p.m. tonight?
I think the answer is no. I'm filling out my ballot. Not that I have a ballot, my own personal ballot, because the coaches decide on this anyway, not even the media, for the reserves.
Which is a good thing.
Oh, I agree. It's a great thing.
Okay.
I'm fully coaches.
Is that more beneficial to Maxey though?
No, it's not, because coaches really value winning. That's what we've seen the last few years, is coaches really value teams, guys on winning teams. And obviously Maxey is not on a winning team right now. So the answer is no, he's not going to be an all-star, because I don't know exactly when the ballots, but I'm pretty sure it was like earlier this week. I don't know exactly when the ballots had to be cast. Maxey has put an amazing 2-week stretch together. He wasn't an all-star before this 2-week stretch. So I don't think this last 2 weeks is going to get him in, even though he's been phenomenal. It's kind of just unfortunate. There's been so much chatter around the Sixers, and Maxey obviously struggled early on with his efficiency, and he said even he wasn't happy. So I think the answer is no. Personally, I would put Tyler Hero in as an all-star over Maxey, just based off the production of the first 2.5 months of the season. But there's no question Maxey's been phenomenal these last 2-3 weeks. And the Sixers are winning games because of him. They're on this 4-game winning streak because he's been that good.
Would you put LaMelo Ball or Tyrese
Oh,
Maxey?
absolutely. Wait, LaMelo or Maxey?
Yeah.
I'm putting anyone over LaMelo Ball, so give me Maxey for sure.
Nice.
Talk about a guy on a bad team, which is why I don't think the coaches will reward LaMelo Ball, because he's on a horrible team. Good stats,
he's getting on though, right? You don't think he's an all-star?
No, I don't think LaMelo Ball is going to be an all-star. No. I got well, it's interesting because I got Cade Cunningham, Trae Young, Evan Mobley, Jaylen Brown, Dame Lillard. And then I had Jalen Johnson as my last forward spot, but he's injured, so he's going to be out. So I got Pascal Siakam. And then that last guard spot, it's between here's who it's between. It's between Tyler Hero, Tyrese Maxey, Tyrese Halliburton, and Darius Garland, and LaMelo Ball. So those are 5 names. Personally, I'm going with Tyler Hero. I don't know who they're going to go with. It could be Darius Garland because the Cavs have been so good. It's going to be a tough one.
Well, Maxey has really put it on the last 2.5, 3 weeks here. It's 12 straight games, 25 plus points. Like they were on a 7-game losing streak. Now they won 4 in a row, so that hurts him. But I think they're realistic to understand what the Sixers have been up against. I'm just intrigued a little bit about LaMelo Ball. That's a talking point. He is a crowd favorite, obviously.
Yeah. And he's an all-star game guy, but and we've talked about this before. Like he and my friends actually made fun of me when we talked about this before, because I didn't know the words to that his brother's song, like Swerve the Lane, woo woo, whatever it is. but horrible song, whatever. I haven't come off that point. But he's so popular among the fans, and he's an all-star game guy. Like the all-star game is not a good product. It's people just going up jacking threes. He's probably really fun to watch in the all-star game. So that's why people wanted to see him as a starter and on the team. He's not one of the 12 best guys in the East this year. I don't care that he's having the best statistical season of his career. It's an award.
You know who doesn't agree with us, right?
Who's that?
Sean Bernard does not.
Really? Is he a big LaMelo guy?
He's not a big, but yeah, he was pushing back on me. So we'll have to bring that one up.
That's why we have to have our 3-man weave show.
Yeah, we got to get that going. We got to get that pod going. We will. We absolutely will. As soon as Super Bowl is over, we're going to be hitting the ground running with that one. But that was an interesting conversation him and I got into a little bit earlier, because I was just picking his brain and his thoughts. Look, he's in a losing environment, losing situation, but he needs to look himself in the mirror too. He's very immature. Dude, he was losing by double digits and got hurt showboating running back.
Yeah. He's immature, and the shot selection is so poor. Terrible. And he puts up a lot of assists. You'd be like, oh, he creates for his teammates. But he doesn't make winning plays, and he doesn't play any defense. He actually bought in a little more, I thought, earlier this season defensively, but now that they're on this losing streak and things start falling apart, he doesn't play any defense. It's just it's hard to be a LaMelo guy, no matter how popular and wavy he is.
I love it. All right, Sixers. 30 seconds on the Sixers, because I got to hit some college hoops with you. What are you saying to Sixers fans right now, January 30th? That maybe we're so pessimistic, but you know what? Like, I tune in the last 2 nights, and it's like they're winning, they're fun. Oh, there's a chance that Paul George could be back, and yeah, you know what? Like, Maxey's coming into his own a little bit. Oh, there's a chance Joel Embiid comes back. What do you say to Sixers fans right now on January 30th?
It's so sad that what's going on with the Sixers right now is everyone's just buying into role players playing really hard because they have to play really hard because they're on prove it deals, whatever. Like, all these guys need their next contract. They need the opportunities on other teams or on the Sixers. So that's why they're playing really hard. And I was at the Lakers Sixers game the other night, and even last night, they just play hard. Like, they're playing really hard right now because they have guys like Justin Edwards, Ricky Council, who are getting a ton of opportunity, and those guys play really hard. And Maxey's playing really well. Shout out Eric Gordon, who's playing the best basketball he's played in, I feel like, in a couple of years over this last 2-3 week stretch. So he's helped them win. Of course, Gershon, it will be interesting to see what happens with him at the deadline. but he plays really, really hard, and he's going to get paid wherever it is. Probably not in Philly, but he's going to get paid after this offseason. But it's just sad that this is where they are right now. But they're playing good basketball. Again, nothing matters until we see Embiid, Paul George, and Maxey on the floor together. But they're putting together a fun stretch of guys who are on prove-it deals who have to play hard, and they're playing hard. And it's more fun than watching Paul George struggle with his efficiency and Joel Embiid limp up the floor.
I agree with you on that one. And last night was fun to tune in and watch that and say, oh, you know what? You beat a good Sacramento team. Good win against Cleveland. But let's not forget they were on a 7-game losing streak. That's what I just want to put out there for the people. But I've been a negative Nancy about this team.
That's the pessimist, didn't you?
Yeah, I've just since November. So I can't change my tune. Even though I am a diehard and I love this team, it's just been so bad. Like I just am not going to step on the rake this year. I'm just not. But if you want to prove me wrong and go out there and do it and dance on my grave come May and June, God bless you. I hope that please, you know what? Like I will stand on City Line Avenue with a sandwich sign that says, I was wrong. I doubted the Sixers. You were right. That's exactly what my sign will say. And I will stand there for a full day if the Sixers even get to an Eastern Conference final. If they get to an ECF, I will do that.
It should say, I love Josh Harris. That's what that sign.
There you go. On the back, it will say, I love Josh Harris. On the front, you were right. I was wrong.
You have no worries because
thank you.
It's not happening. So you can put that. You don't have to draw that sign up for maybe another decade or two.
All right, we hit on the NBA there. Shea had himself a pretty good game yesterday in a losing fashion, which is just crazy to see that. Anything for you on the card tonight? Only 5 games to choose from. You got one winner?
Not really. I really haven't even looked at the card tonight, to be honest with you.
It's fine.
Because I've been so consumed with Super Bowl stuff and video content over at the Score. So no, I haven't looked at the card. So nothing for you. Nothing for you on that.
All right. I want to get over to college hoops real quick. Again, last night, Auburn looked good. Taking on LSU. Duke is continuing to roll here as we are about to enter February. And oh, by the way, our first UNC Duke matchup of the year. And I thought Beef put that pretty eloquently. Again, coming up at 5 o'clock, you'll hear our college basketball catch-up show that we're going to do it. No, not brought to you by Heinz 57. Not kidding. Every Wednesday. So Beef said, hey, man, it's college hoop season. We got our first Duke-Carolina matchup on Saturday, which is not living up to the hype by no means. From UNC's perspective. But what's the one thing that you want people to know about college hoops right now as we're about to enter February?
Oh man, there's so much. Let's actually, you know what? Let's talk about the Big Ten. You want to know why?
Ooh.
You want to know why we're going to talk about the Big Ten?
Because Sparty's going to win it all?
No. Because my Maryland Terps are back in the conversation. And I'm not even, this isn't biased. I criticized Willard.
Good win.
Big win, big week. I criticized Kevin Willard, Maryland's coach, pretty recently. I got some pushback for it. Here's what I'll say. Maryland can win this Big Ten. And when you look at Michigan State, they're 9-0 in the Big Ten. They haven't beat anyone impressive. Like, this is a classic Tom Izzo team. They play really great defense. They rebound the ball really well. 4th best rebounding rate in the entire country. Defense and rebounding are what classic Michigan State teams are. And they have a balanced scoring attack. Like, they have 7 guys averaging 7 per game. And Jaden Atkins is averaging 13 per game. He's the only guy averaging over 10. So it's a really balanced scoring attack. But they haven't played anybody. Like, their non-conference, they lost to Kansas and Memphis in non-con. They beat UNC. That was their big non-conference win. But we know how UNC's season's going. Now let's go to their Big Ten schedule. Their wins are over Northwestern. They beat Minnesota twice, Rutgers, Penn State, Nebraska, Washington. Those are the bottom 6 teams in the conference. There's 18 teams in the conference, and those are the bottom 6 of them. Then their best wins over Illinois, and they beat OSU. So they haven't played anybody towards the top of the conference. So they're 9-0, sure. I'm not convinced of the best team. I still like Michigan. Illinois is still in the mix. And the Maryland Terps are right there. Like, they have a great front court duo in Derek Queen and Julian Reese. They have shot-making guards. Jacoby Gillespie has been phenomenal. Rodney Rice, Selton Miguel. Everyone has been phenomenal for them. The pieces fit. And I was critical of Kevin Willard because he couldn't win on the road. Then last week, they have 2 huge road wins. And then last night, they got a big home win over Wisconsin. When you look at who can really win it all, who are the best teams in the country, whether it's their conference tournament or the NCAA tournament, you really want to look at, all right, have they put together stretches when they won a few on the road, won a few at home, and they rallied off 4, 5, 6, 7 straight wins? Maryland is in the middle of doing that. So I think this team has a legitimate chance to win the Big Ten, because I think Michigan State is overrated. And Michigan's right there. They already beat Illinois, though, so they prove they can beat teams like that. They beat Wisconsin, who's one of the better teams in the Big Ten this season. This Maryland team, it's not bias out of me. Don't sleep on this Maryland team. They can win it. And we could go to the SEC. We could go down to the Big 12 if you want to get there. But that's my takeaways from the Big 10 right now.
All right. 19-1 to win the conference. You taking a flyer on that? Yeah.
I think it's worth it. I mean, Michigan State, their schedule coming up is really difficult. They're going to play Michigan twice. They have Maryland coming up. They have a Purdue. So Michigan State is going to fall in those standings. Michigan has slipped a little bit. They got a big win over Penn State earlier this week, comeback win, but they've slipped up a little bit. Big Ten is wide open. So, yeah, I think it's worth a flyer.
All right. Great stuff, Sam. Once again, you can find him at The Score, and he's doing a bang-up job over there. He joins us every Thursday and then some, getting involved a lot more next week. And you can find him on all things X Machine at SOSHTRY, Sam Oshtry. Once again, great job, Sam. Can't thank you enough. We'll catch up again, like I said, over the weekend as we are inching closer towards Super Bowl 59, the big game down on Bourbon Street. All right, coming up next, we'll continue the college hoops conversation with Ryan Beef Coyle. That's right, midweek conversations, the college hoops catch-up podcast. Ryan Beef Coyle, myself. Oh, by the way, tomorrow live back in studio, Roy Burton's going to join me. We're going to have Mark Henry Jr. on the show. We're going to have John Jansen. We are also going to have another beef production. It's a show that doesn't have a title just yet, but that's going to air later in the evening. And Sam, you a wrestling guy?
Not at all, but not even a little bit.
Yeah, like I guess you could say I'm a little bit because of who I was when I grew up. Like I was a diehard wrestling fan. I love it, and I still tune in from time to time. And WrestleMania being here in Philadelphia really hooked me back. Like it took me back, and it got me back up into some of the the storylines. I haven't paid attention though.
I actually went, so a memory in my phone came up the other day. The week before the Eagles won the Super Bowl in that 2017 season, it was 2018. It wasn't WrestleMania because I went to this huge wrestling event that was, I think it was the Saturday or Sunday night before the week before the Super Bowl when they eventually won it at Wells Fargo. It was maybe WrestleMania, maybe a Royal Rumble. I know John Cena was
it had to be Royal Rumble.
It must have been
Royal Rumble.
So that's the only wrestling event I've been to. It was awesome. It was cool, but like I'm not a wrestling guy.
Yeah, Royal Rumble. We have the round table coming our way Friday night. Nick Bacone, John Jansen, Vaughn Johnson, and Jason Fidelli do a great job covering all things WWE for us. So that's coming your way on Friday night. Big couple days here. Big week and a half for us here on The Gambler. As always, give us a follow on socials. And if you missed anything, you can find all of our content at foxphlgambler.com.